Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Marks Paneth LLP, Capital One Bank, Collins Building Services, Meridian Capital Group. Additional support has been provided by grants from AKA Hotel Residences Corman Communities, Ariel Property Advisors, Amarant Bank, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, Chase Commercial Mortgage Lending, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Citizens Bank, Dime Community Bank, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate Organization, Hodges Ward Elliott INC, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Casamatides Red Apple Group, Keysight Capital Partners, Matone Group, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Ocean First Bank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, Stonehenge NYC, SVN CPEX Real Estate Services, Tierra CRG, the Meringer Family Foundation, and these friends. Hello, my name is Michael Stoller, host of the Stoller Report and host of the AmTrust Title Insurance webinar series. Today, the topic of discussion is what's really happening in the restaurant business in COVID-19. With the help of my friend Drew Napor, and I've been able to assemble this group of distinguished restaurant individuals who will discuss the truth of what's happening in the market today. I have Cedric Van Gritchen, who is the chef and owner of Way In, which last year received the Esquire Award as one of the best new restaurants in the country, and Perry Street. The legendary Drew Naporin, who is the owner, CEO of Myriad Restaurants, Tribeca Grill, Nobu, Batard, Crushed Liquors, and a variety of others. The man who started with the hit bagel, Shelley Fireman, who is the chairman and CEO of the Fireman Hospitality Group. Douglas Kim, chef, the owner of Jeju Noodle Shop. And last but not least, the famous Melba Wilson, who is a chef, owner, community leader, president of the New York Hospitality Alliance, I believe. Let's talk about what's really happening. The first item which I'd like to bring up is what is the status of this proposed $120 million bill to help the restaurant business? Melba or Drew, whoever would like to talk about that.
Well, proposed is what it is. It has not been confirmed. We are still waiting to hear if it's going to be passed. However, we know in this industry that we, as people who are always helping others, that's what we do in this industry, the food and beverage industry. It is our job to serve and to take care of others. However, we are at a point that we need to be taken care of. You know, New York City is the food capital of the world. And to see our industry and our businesses go down the way that they are going down, and the fact that our employees are no longer have jobs is devastating. We, the food and beverage industry, definitely need help.
With regard to that, and I'm going to go back to the restaurant bill, how did the PPPs or did the PPPs help your operation, Cedric?
It did help. I mean, at some point, I think back in May, we could have not made it without it. Not May, in June or something like that. But now there's a question of, it was supposed to be forgiven for labor, for rent, some of the utilities, but I still haven't heard anything, or there's no update from the bank in terms of if it's really going to be forgiven. and I don't want to be, 3 months or a year from now having to own the money. We won't be able to make it. So there's still a lot of uncertainty regarding that.
I mean, part of the original PPP was that you had to rehire people back when the restaurant wasn't open, and we're having the same problem right now. All of you are trying to operate your restaurants, but doing it not in the restaurant, but outside. Douglas, how are you doing outside your restaurant as compared to when you were open?
I mean, of course, after this thing happened, we closed the restaurant for 2 months due to certain issues. And after we decided to open, and we started with a takeout. Now we have outdoor dining. But then, of course, it's a big difference. But however, we actually at the corner building, so we have 2 streets. We can actually put outdoor dining plus the parking lot spot as well. So I mean, if you want to aggressively, I can actually put almost same seating as inside. However, I mean, going back to whole system of, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm like kind of stopped it to hiring people because in 2 months I don't know what's going to happen. It's like I can't rely on takeout all the time. So we're running at the thin like staff now just to get it by and to see what's going on within a few months. And compared to what we used to do, we started basically 1% of what we used to do, and we came basically catching up by almost 50% now after outdoor dining.
Shelley, you're affected rather heavily in the Times Square. I mean, you had Bond 45 and the Brooklyn Diner. Have you opened up outdoor dining in Times Square?
No, I haven't opened. I have no plans to open. And I have the greatest locations and the worst conditions in the world. Carnegie Hall on that street is dead as hell. There's nobody in the hotels. There's nobody walking on 7th Avenue. Nordstrom's is dead. Broadway is okay. The town is dead. Thank God for the PPP. Thank God for the United States government. Let's hope they help us again. Without that, we're dead.
Drew, what's your thoughts about this new proposed law that I brought up before to Melba?
Well, let me just talk a quick second about the PPP, because the PPP itself is very confusing. Because when they first put the PPP out, you had until the end of June to spend it. In New York, maybe elsewhere, but in New York, we weren't even allowed to be open. So then a group of restaurateurs went to Washington and they put it to 24 weeks, thank goodness, but not 24 weeks when you start, 24 weeks from the time you got the money, to 60%, and then 60-40 instead of 75-25, which was also an improvement.
Can't see
It
that.
also did away, if you're not doing the sales, and none of us are doing the sales, they pretty much did away with, you have to hire back these people, FTE, full-time employees. Cedric brought up a good point. You have to then, when you make your submission to the government, you got to hold your breath and hope that they're going to forgive your expenses, because your expenses can be $250,000 or more. And if they don't forgive that, you're totally screwed. So, for number one, I'm not holding my breath about another bill to bail us out. They're so tight now. That's not going to happen. I agree that the PPP, if they give us forgiveness, is going to allow us. It's like a stay of execution. But here in New York, and we're all from New York largely, we have to be given some information. Information was good at the beginning, but now we do not know if past October 31st, if we'll be allowed to even be open at all indoors. I actually believe that Cuomo and de Blasio, when it comes to the virus, have done a fantastic job in terms of flattening the curve. And I'm all in. I want to be supportive. Now it's survival. We cannot survive if we don't know how we can go forth after. And by the way, the outdoor dining rather is a fraction of what we normally do. It's a fraction. I mean, Douglas, he has a small restaurant, but he was able, because this is also something the city did very well, Michael. The city did not, you have to pay all kinds of fees for putting one table outdoors. The city just said, go on this website, click in, boom, you can do this stuff. And so the city, government to a large degree has been very supportive.
What's happening, especially with the involvement of the Hospitality Alliance? What is the Hospitality Alliance trying to do for the future to take care of the restaurants?
Well, Michael, I want to piggyback first on what Drew just said. He's 100% correct. You know, I had never had a sidewalk seating before. You know, I'm a single owner with no partners, no investors. I'd never had sidewalk seating before. And so for me, I did not have to pay the fees. I didn't have to have an architect come in and design the outdoor space. I didn't have to pay a lawyer to file or the filing fees. So that saved me thousands upon thousands of dollars, which was definitely needed, especially since we hadn't been open for business since March 15th. We went in, I did the application online. 6 minutes later, I was approved. And to Drew's point, he's right. Now I have 70 seats outside. So government definitely stepped in and assisted in that way. But the Hospitality Alliance, you know, we're doing all that we can. We were very effective in reducing the fees for, you know, third-party delivery fees, which, as we all know, during this pandemic, especially, people only had one choice, and that was takeout and delivery. So at the time, we had Grubhub and Uber charging 30%. They were charging us 30%. And you're talking about having a knee on your neck. We as the industry, that was our only way to survive, was through takeout and delivery. So then have to pay third-party fee of 30% was truly strangling us. And so the Hospitality Alliance, we were able to step in and to get those fees reduced to 15%, which is, you know, when you're in a pandemic or any time, that's 15%. But we're always on the front lines. We're always fighting for this industry, which we also desperately love.
Michael, ask Shelley what he paid for the sidewalk, his sidewalk cafe over the years.
I think it's about $30,000, but I don't remember. And Melba, I want to compliment you for what you just said. Am I a member of the Hospitality Alliance? Because if I'm not, I'm joining for you.
Thank you. And I'm the first female
And
president.
Drew, I don't agree with you. I love you, Drew, but I don't agree. If the government doesn't step in, it will be chaos. We must have, don't depend on Cuomo and de Blasio. They're going to look to be reelected. I wouldn't trust them at all. The United States government has to help us or we're really screwed, is my view.
But I think they also have to help our landlords, because I think
Nobody's going to help your landlords. They're too rich. They're too, they're too landlordish.
But there's no way that the landlords, they don't pay because they have mortgages to pay. And what my
I'm never going to say anything about our landlords except they're too rich. They should help our insurance company. Where's our business interruption insurance that we've been lied and cheated for years? They knew there was a, don't stop me on that because I'm suing my guys because I took out such a policy. I'm covered so much, except I got a chance. I'm using Walt Disney's guys in California, to tell you the truth.
Cedric, you opened up your restaurant at the beginning of 2019, okay? You had some great recommendations, highly written up by the New York Times, 2 stars. Douglas, you opened up in 2017, okay? Melba, you're 2005. A lot of your business was predicated on tourists. We have no tourists today. And in addition to tourists, which relates to Shelley, you're talking about Carnegie Hall, the building where you're in. If they have 10% of the employees in that building,
they don't have even 10. I'm embarrassed to tell you, the building seats about 3,000 people. If 150 people a day show up, that's a lot. I mean, I love my landlord there, so you can't, but nobody shows up in the building.
Who's coming to the restaurants today? Who's visiting your restaurants? Drew, who's going down to Nobu? Who's going to Tribeca Grill?
That's a terrific question. You know, Melba's in a residential neighborhood. Douglas is in the West Village, residential neighborhood. Way in Perry Street is a little difficult, but what kind of volume, Cedric, what kind of volume are you doing?
We are, I mean, both restaurants, Perry Street and Wayano, are sort of like residential. And actually right now at Perry Street, we're doing better numbers. You know, August is usually a slow season after the whole restaurant week. So we're doing actually more guests than last year for now. Why? It's horrible because we have less seats up front and we have a small footprint, but we are relying on the neighborhood right now, and they're really supporting us at this moment.
What I was going to say, Michael, is that if you're in a residential neighborhood, so you have no tourists in town, and then you're in a business neighborhood like Shelley is in these high traffic Times Square neighborhood, they're not residential. They have to find him. But Douglas's restaurant, I bet you it's doing fantastic. Melba, I know the restaurant's doing fantastic. And then my restaurant, you know, Nobu is an exception because it's been in the marketplace for 26 years. People love the brand, and wealthy people love Nobu. So, you know, the prices are not cheap. So that's doing very well. Petard used to be Montrachet. I've had it for 35 years. But, you know, I'm in the middle of Tribeca where, you know, it's the pubs and, you know, the less expensive places are going to do well. So I think the thing that has to be pointed out, Michael, is that we are just hanging on. But, you know, we're doing an unbelievable job in making the best of a bad situation.
So here's the question. How have you adapted to this? I mean, I've read a number of articles about Melba, about the contactless payment, the use of the internet, more social media. How are you trying to grow your business during the summer and also to maintain it for the future? We want the people because they've heard about Cedric and Douglas winning a Michelin star. They know about this because of the quality of food. How are you trying to market yourself and also take care of your employees? Because you have the people who are working who have kids and they have difficulties going to work. Melba, you took something with regard to a nonprofit that you created, right?
Yes. Well, what we did was we started an employee relief fund. We did a piece on 60 Minutes. And because of that, we got a phone call from Gail King, who wanted to know what she could do. And so we asked her to feed frontline workers. And so she wrote a check and she was able to feed employees at a public hospital, Harlem Hospital, for a whole month. So that's what Gail King did. Some of our catering clients that, of course, we're no longer servicing, Karen and Charles Phillips from Infor. Mr. Phillips came in and did the same thing for quite a few hospitals in the neighborhood so that we could also bring our employees back to work. As all of us that sit on this panel today, I hope I can speak for all of us. It's not for us because we're going to be okay one way or another, but it's for the hundreds of people that work with us in this industry. It's for, you know, Mohammed, who works in the kitchen, who sends money home to Africa to support his mother. You know, it's for Boubacar, who has his 5-year-old daughter. It's for Alicia, who has her 1.5-year-old daughter, and she's a single parent. How are they going to now support their families? That's truly what this is about. And when a restaurant closes down, Michael, it's not just a physical business. It is a layered effect. It is the vineyards, it is the produce market, it's the farmers market, you know, it's the fishermen, it's the delivery guys who drive the trucks to transport these items. It's not just a physical place.
No, I agree with you. You know, yes, Shelley.
I just want to say this. Why aren't we talking about the insurance companies? All you're saying is real and true. We all feel it. But where are we going to get the money to help these people? Why don't we talk about the insurance? Drew.
So let's, Drew, have you,
insurance
with regard to that, has Cedric,
Today,
have all of you applied for business interruption insurance?
Shelley brings up a terrific point, but it's the same thing. We had the same problems around Hurricane Sandy. You know, they're going to wait, and then you're going to wind up going to somebody's office and spending 8 hours, and then they're going to capitulate. I don't think they had any idea that this thing was going to last this long. So, you know, that's another problem. But I'm like Shelley, I'm suing also.
What company are you suing?
Our insurance company.
Class action takes years. Private lawsuits take shorter time.
Yeah, well, they'll be dead by the time that comes out. I'm not going in a class action. I'm going to a private lawsuit.
We have to leave now and we'll return next week on the challenges of operating a restaurant during COVID-19. This is Michael Stoller for the Stoller Report.